Okay, so we are unmuted. Let me get some screens situated here.
I hurt my back the other day, so I'm gonna be really slow today. I feel like an old lady getting up. I mean, I am an old lady, but.
No, you're not an old lady.
I'm an old lady.
You're an old lady, I'm an old son. Stuff you
That's a choice I made a little bit.
All right, we ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome, everybody. The Belterra Community Association Board of Directors meeting, Thursday, February the 9th, 2023. We're in the activity room at 801 Belterra Drive. So thank you for joining us at the Belterra meeting of the Board of Directors. I am Jamie Avila, Vice President of the Board, and I will be serving as a presiding officer for tonight's meeting, as Jennifer Bertman, President of the Board, will not be here. All attendees will remain in listen-only mode at this time as we call the meeting to order. So establishment of quorum, call to order. Belterra board members present, including Secretary Patricia Layden, Treasurer Bob Bloody, and Director Clement Kuchek, and who are with us right now. Noting the presence of a quorum, may I have a motion to call this meeting to order at 4:33 p.m. Okay, we'll say session. Chris made the motion, Bob seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, great. So we're going to adjourn and reconvene in executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn and reconvene in executive session at 4:33 p.m.
So motion.
Bob, thank you. So Bob made the motion, Clement seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Right, give me a moment to.
Did I understand correctly that there's 4 ambulances?
There's 4 ambulances operating at 3 stations. There's 2 ambulances over on Sportsplex. There's 1 at the fire station here in Belterra, and there's 1 at a new site on 150 near 1826.
Did y'all shut down the fire station on 1826?
We don't own the fire station. You have to take from the fire station. Yeah. So we have 2 of our own facilities per se, and 1 that we jointly use with fire.
Oh, okay.
Well, the 150 station is a future station for fire. It also will be a joint use station. So we're trying to collaborate where we can in order to save tax dollars.
So can I ask maybe a silly question or what am I missing? God forbid, if there was some mass casualty event, you wouldn't be equipped to respond, right?
So let's say there's a bus accident, school bus accident, and 10 kids go to the hospital. Chances are you can double up with some of the kids, but if it's critical, maybe not. And then we're asking for mutual aid from Austin and from literally, yeah. And plus, we contract with San Marcos States County EMS. So they provide service for roughly 3/4 of Hays County. So right now, we have something that's called zero resource. And that's when all our 4 units run service. And that happens about once a day. So when that happens, a unit from Kyle starts moving up here. And then if necessary, they'll stage in the HB parking lot until we get the next unit back. So that's another thing we're dealing with. When we had 2 units and we went to 3, we saw a nice drop from 40 or 50 pounds a month down to the teens. And as the population increases, we're seeing that number go up again. So with the 4th unit we just put online in October, we're hoping to see that zero resource number go down again, because it was creeping up and it was about 1 a day and we need to get it down. Hopefully it'd be best to 0, but there are many times when all of our resources are out.
And the closest hospital is not 10 minutes away.
I found that out.
Yeah.
He didn't live
So,
What is the closest hospital you see?
the closest one we go to,
Yeah.
See, Southwest is the closest,
Yeah.
but I would
we don't take.
We don't.
hesitate to tell people to go to see Southwest. It's not a full service emergency. They don't have access.
We're transporting somebody, Seton Southwest wouldn't even take it. They don't have those kind of capabilities.
So we have to take them to the most appropriate hospital, the closest, most appropriate. And let's say it's a twisted knee and they want to go down to Seton Southwest, then that would probably be allowable, probably. But for the most part, we're bypassing that, and we're going to Southwest.
See, Southwest routinely, several times a day, from the ER, they call 911 and have Austin Travis County EMS come out to transport patients from their ER to the higher level service.
So if it's a kid,
They'll
we're
children.
gonna sell children. If it's up north in the county, it might be Lakeway, might be the closest. You know, it depends on where you're from. Belterra, Seton Lane. Yeah.
So we're talking about tax dollars. And we've been operating for the last 26 years with 3 cents as our cap for $100 valuation. So for a $500,000 home, that's $150 a year that we're currently collecting. Given what I showed you about we're only meeting our response time goal 69% of the time, and we have the need to build more stations and have a 50 unit by the end of the decade, we're in a position where we're going to have to ask the voters for permission to go higher. Now, in order to do that, you have to have 2 elections. The first election gives you the authority, because right now, the authority we have is 3 cents and we're capped there. Most DSTs are at 10 cents.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, we're half of everybody except Austin, Travis, and Kyle. Everybody else is 0.06 or 0.07.
Yes. So what we plan to do is we plan to ask for the 10 cents like the majority, most of these CSDs are at 10 cents capped. But if we get that authority, then we'll have to come back again with a plan in place, financial plan showing what we intend to do, what our budget is going to, and what that means as far as the tax rate is concerned.
So just so I'm understanding, the first vote is to move the cap, but you don't have the ability to go all the way up to that cap by your own will. You have to have the voters vote to then approve you moving up. So it's not like we can choose 10 cents because you gave us the first election. You have to continue to justify.
Yes, yes. So, and then every year they're out, if we go more than 3.5% above our budget, then that would generate an election and the voters would have to vote on that. So some of these you see here, we're at 10 cents, not too long ago, but Senate Bill 2 has made it more challenging where you used to be able to go up 8%. Now you don't go 3.5%.
That is
Well,
That is-
and that's your elections.
yeah.
That's not.
Which of course,
Raising 3.5%, right?
The thing that confuses me about this, as a taxpayer, is that we're in a county that's enjoyed or suffered from a tremendous increase in population and a tremendous increase in valuation. So even at this current cap and all of that, you folks should be seeing a tremendous increase in your revenue.
we are seeing more in revenue, but just like everybody else, we're seeing inflation kill us. As I said, we're building 2 stations, one up on North 12 and another one over in Heritage Oaks. When we first started planning, several years ago, we were expecting $300 to $350 a square foot. We're about a month away from starting construction, getting a permit started, and the price is $800 per square foot. So a lot of things, supply chain issues and inflation. And we buy an ambulance every year. Last year, the one we bought was $270,000. We're buying the same thing this year, $330,000. So 20% increase. So yes, absolutely, we're seeing more dollars, but every time we plug those dollars in, along with our costs, because we have a 10-year plan, We're not able to get where we need to be in order to get the 5 stations where we need them.
Your 10-year plan probably was 2% inflation year over year versus what we've seen in the last year being like 8 to 10%.
We actually started planning at 4% last year, we raised it to 5%. Be closer, and I'm hoping, cross our fingers, that it's below 5% in coming years, but who knows?
But to further answer your, on the 3.5%, Senate Bill 2, which was passed a few years ago, limits you to, like, if we collect, I'm just using round numbers, if we collect $1 million or $100,000 in that warm tax last year, then the most you can collect this year is 100,000, 3,000, or 103,500.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. I don't care if the value's went up 40%. That's all you can collect. If the population goes to 50%, that's all you can collect without going to an election. Because, and what that means is instead of being at 3 cents, you get that same value, with the increased value, you have to drop your rate to 1.6%, 1.6 cents.
Okay, as long as I don't have to pay more. So what it sounds like is that the tax collector's collecting a whole bunch of money, you're not getting your share. I mean, you're
It
saying,
just stops
No,
collecting
no.
money.
You just, no, it's not the way it works.
Can you explain it? So once it hits that 103,000, this tax just absolutely stops and nobody's collecting it.
No, it doesn't say 3 cents. We have to set it, instead of being a 3 cent value on your tax form, when we set the tax, it's 1.6 cents. You actually pay less. So the organization collects the same amount of money as it did last year, even though it's an increased population. That's what Senate Bill 2 did for ESDs.
That's where.
A good example, the fire station, the fire department, they've gone down about 2 cents on their collections.
To further answer your question, not just on the tax collection, but as the need arises, the population grows and cost of rooms increase. You put enough people in the entire area, your response model is actually exponential. And so the cost to respond, not just the cost of equipment and training and personnel, the cost to respond actually increases vastly faster when you have that kind of population growth. I work with ESDs throughout the state, and we've noticed that almost universally. When you have a population that's exploding and that many people, and I'm sure you can see it on 290 when you drive it, that many people are making poor decisions and response model goes up. And so the 3 cents that they're collecting right now, or 100, is not going to be able to match that growth.
Who is the sponsor of that legislation?
The lieutenant governor.
So it, for everything we presented, we're trying to get to our response time goal of 10 minutes. National standards, 9 minutes. So maybe one day we can talk about getting to 9 minutes, but we've tried for 10 minutes for the last 10 years and we're well off of it. Our average is around 14 minutes. Our 90th percentile for those people who live way north. That's what we're trying to address, is get our resources placed appropriately so we can reduce those response times. And the only way we can do that is through funding. And so currently, for $500,000 home, we're collecting $150. We have, it'd be in our plan that, okay, what does 4 cents do for us? What does 5 cents do for us? And so that way, if we are approved to raise the tax cap, then we'll come back for another election with all those plans and budgets in place to say, this is what we're trying to do.
And that vote would overrule the 3% that you're allowed to go up every year, so that we tax up it would.
So in order to get past 3 cents, if we go up more than 3.5%, we have to go to the voters anyway. So, but in this case, we could possibly go up to 4 cents, which would be another election. So 2 elections in order to try and get to the final ending.
When do you want to do the first election?
That'll be on May 9th.
Okay.
And how long for the second?
Probably November.
If it passes, so you'll want to do it next year.
Yeah, so we have our 10-year plan. We have to update our numbers because inflation keeps hitting us. hard. At one point, with $300,000, well, you know, it was $270,000 an ambulance, now it's $330. We're gonna order another ambulance next year. And I'm just hoping it's not only 350, 360, but everything's going up.
It seems like you need more ambulances than that. Than what you're even discussing, just because of the exponential growth in the community overall, that by the time you get this, even if you get it approved, you're still gonna be behind the 8 ball and we're gonna need more.
Once we get to 90%, then we're gonna start looking at the high growth areas and the congested areas. And that we have to look at the county's road plans to see how that's gonna affect our response time, and all those things bake into, you know, okay, we've got these 5 stations. Now where does the 6th one go? Or the 7th one, plan that out. Because, you know, we started with 3 stations and we made a plan in order to, with 5 stations, in order to meet our goal, because that was
One of the things that the ESD is doing to spend the taxpayers' money as effectively as they can right now is the 2 stations that are being built are not single-use facilities. They don't just house one ambulance, they're being designed to actually house 3 full crews with all the equipment. So the new station is gonna go in right outside of Belterra, and the new station is gonna go in outside of Route 12, while we'll initially staff with 1 ambulance. As population increases, they can increase staffing of 3. So you see a total of 6 full crews potentially out of those 2 stations.
Yeah, it sets us up better. Let's just say there's an explosion over, say, the population and activity over around the Heritage Oaks area. We'll have a station there, 1 crew. If we need more, we'll probably put in what we call a demand unit, which would be like 12 hours a day for 5 to 7 days a week. And that's how we kind of gradually improve service at a economical cost.
One of the things that we're looking at, I can speak a little bit to the population growth and increasing call volume in EMS a little bit more. Hard numbers. When I started with the city of Boston as a paramedic in 1998, it was a very, very, very busy day. We had 200 calls system-wide in Travis County. When I retired in 2022, we were routinely getting 600 calls. So we tripled the call volume
For the same area.
for the same area, all of Travis County in 23 years. That is massive growth. And right now, while the city of Boston is starting to slow down, Hayes County's growth is picking up. Because Boston has reached saturation, so people are starting to move into the metroplex instead of the city itself.
Yeah, another thing that hurts us is not having a hospital here. You're in downtown Austin, you have an accident, you could be dropped off and needed back in service in 15 to 30 minutes. Whereas for us, it's 2 hours. And take better part of an hour from the time we're dispatched to the time we can get to the hospital. And then, of course, take care of the patient there.
Why don't you make hospital care?
Apparently the economics wants to put it.
We had an emergency room back in the day in Dripping Springs, you didn't see it, it's that they don't.
So
But I
that
don't think
emergency
it's-
room,
It's not the same.
it didn't meet. So freestanding emergency rooms are a thing and they are gonna keep happening nationwide. Sometimes they're very good things, sometimes they're not. Taking into account the one in Dripping Springs in particular, it was a for-profit service. And it didn't meet the basic requirements to receive an ambulance. So as far as that thing being in Dripping Springs, it makes absolutely no difference
Yeah.
for ambulance service.
The economics not supporting it, though, that just doesn't sit well with me when
It's things.
you're talking about people's
It's
lives.
things, and only recently have we been able to take more advantage of Baylor Scotland and Lakewood as they develop in their game. Because again, we gotta go to the closest appropriate hospital.
Right.
So if it is a major cardiac issue, it's not gonna be Lakeway, it's gonna be downtown.
One other thing, because of the distance, we have to go from here to a hospital. We don't have EMTs. We have paramedics. We pay premium prices, and paramedics on every unit. Every ambulance out here is not just a van with a car in the back of it. It's a mobile ICU. So it's not
You know,
It's helpful.
it's not a van,
I understand.
it's a mobile ICU with trained paramedics man.
Right.
I've gone over San Marcos County EMS to the calls with fine tooth comb. There are several circumstances that those paramedics, there are many circumstances where paramedics are doing the exact same things that doctors in emergency rooms are doing for a tenth of the day. There's several cases where several specific protocols where the paramedics in the field are actually able to perform at a higher level than doctors in the emergency rooms. Which is very unique to San Marcos County.
Are we paying San Marcos every time we have all of our units are out and we need one of their mobile units to come up?
No, there's no fee.
Okay, it's just like it's a full contract.
So it's part of the system. The system moves to the need. So, let's say,
County in general.
yes, so let's say something bad happens in San Marcos, there's gonna be units from Kyle moving down there. There could be a unit from Juniper Springs moving down to Kyle, just to take care of the system.
Right.
Okay, that's a cool system. Thank you for doing all that.
But any other questions?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time.
thank you very much. That was quite illuminating and thank you for the great work you did.
What is being done right now to promote this?
This is our first presentation, first of the many.
Well, this is false fruit.
I'm sure we will definitely have some opposition.
Nobody likes the pink one, so.
No, nobody does. I think when we do the math and we show, okay, it's $150 a year for a $500,000 house. And we're looking at going, if we go up 1 penny, that's another $50.
You don't have to sell me.
Yeah,
I mean, I think there's probably more than what you're asking for.
yeah. And then when the discussion comes up in regards to, well, you know, we're growing, you're getting more money. And yeah, and we also have inflation. And because we have been funded so low for so long, we haven't been able to keep up with the growth.
Right. No, I was just wondering because it seems like, I mean, you need to have a really strong marketing campaign for something like this, to
Yes.
get the word out and to explain
We just want to clarify that this first election is just an authorization, it's just an ask to raise that cap.
and.
We're raising that cap to that state maximum because elections cost districts money, which can cost taxpayers money, so we do not want to do multiple elections to stair step up to 10. Ultimately, we know we're gonna need to get there, so that's why we're doing one election. This is just the permission ask. The next one that comes, once we have the backups and the financial research to do, then we say, this is what we think we're going to need. The key thing is your commissioners on the board for the ESD are also residents within this area. So they're gonna not only be fiscally responsible with your money, but they're gonna be fiscally responsible with their money as well, to make sure that they're not doing anything too much. As far as the marketing is concerned, that's why I'm here. We're gonna be coordinating information to put on the ESD's website. There's gonna be additional information that goes out to residents within the district. A number of push campaigns through text, through digital media, through printed handouts and things like that. So over the course of the next 3.5 months before early voting, you're gonna get tired of hearing from us about this. But we want to make sure, everybody has, you know, equal and equitable access to this information so they can make that decision in that.
Right. And I think it's great to be fiscally responsible, but I also think there's something to be said about if you know that you're deficient in an area that is hurting people or that could kill people, then I think you should have liability for that, because was it foreseeable? Did you do anything? Did you choose not to do anything? I think that's the problem.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Just to clarify, for any of our residents that may be watching, it's fair to say that this election coming up in May, the ESC one's ballot initiative, is just to raise the cap. It's not gonna have any financial impact on any of the taxpayers right now. That would come at a later time with another election backed up by financial data, correct?
Yes. It takes 2 elections to raise more taxes. Probably right to do so.
Well, that was very illuminating and learned a lot. So thank you very, very much for coming. Thank you. So upon entering into regular session, the executive session, we have summarized orally actions taken or expenditures approved. During executive session, we had a violation hearing request and an AMC variance request, and discussed the Belterra Marlin Swim Team 2023 amenity use agreement. So may I get an approval of the meeting minutes of the regular meeting of the board held on November 14th, 2022, as presented?
So
Thank you, Trish. Do I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor, say aye. All right, motion carries unanimously. And next up, we have Marshall with our management report.
So I will not subject you to my voice for too terribly long. I sound worse than I feel. And just a kind of a quick, update on kind of all the happenings, lots of activity for the board, and lots of policies and resolutions and all kinds of good things going on. The board is currently reviewing 2 different proposals for the storm damage cleanup around all property that's owned by the association, which is here, the rec center, and over at the retreat at San Saba. So you may still see a lot of trees down while you're, here. Lately back here, we tried to caution tape off as much as possible. The stuff in the parking lot, I think, got cleaned up by WCID when they had crews out doing the vicinity here. So thank you to them for just taking the initiative and cleaning up our parking lot as well. But yeah, just keep plugging away. We do have the freeze claim from the 2022 Christmas Day freeze, Christmas night freeze, that we're still working on, and the payment, basically the check is in the mail from the insurance company, and just working out some details on what replacements are actually going to go into the pool bathrooms. So other than that, hopefully in the next 45 days, we'll have all that squared away and buttoned up, and fingers crossed we don't have any more freezes.
WCID is meeting tonight, and we might have more clarification later on in the week about what they're doing.
Yes, yeah, WCID has been, it's been kind of a push-pull between figuring out, because from what I understand, you guys know, been here too terribly long, 5 months now. But I guess, in the Snowmageddon of February 21, they put out dumpsters, and from what I understand, that maybe didn't go so well. When people drive, there's lots of head shaking, couches and all sorts of fun stuff. So they were less inclined to do that. I met on Monday with the WCID president and vice president, and because I started the conversation, we will put dumpsters out. Like, what can we do to help the residents? And they came in and basically said, no, I think that's a bad idea. Here's what happened last time. And I said, okay, great. I appreciate you giving me a heads up. So we're board management trying to think outside of the box ways that, can help. But of course, this board doesn't want to jump the gun if WCID plans to do something. And yes, there's money to left pocket, right pocket, doesn't matter if you're paying taxes or if you're paying. But definitely keeping an eye on what the WCID, and hopefully they have some sort of decision tonight so that this board can then say, okay, now we know, now here's what we're going to do.
And part of the reason we decided to wait on WCID is they're contracted with the waste management company. And so they're contracted with people who will go door to door, who have the trucks, the means to be able to do that. Because we did look into what it would be if we asked our land care to go door to door, and it was very expensive because they're just not equipped to do that. And so that's the reason we're gonna wait to see what WCID does, because they'll probably have the most financially responsible ability.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because we did approach land care with, can you do this? Do you have the bandwidth? And ultimately, no, we don't have the bandwidth. They have reached out to a partner of theirs that typically services hurricane ravaged areas. They can come in and take care of that. And like Kat said, it's very expensive to do that, like $4,000 just to have their day. Just to have their trucks come through and clean up. He did tell me, I took a call from him right before you guys all came in for executive session. It can do up to 50 houses a day, which is a lot. But but it is still, it's a lot of houses. You start doing the math on that and you guys are spending boo-boo bucks to do. So not to say that you wouldn't choose to do it, it's just, you really have to weigh those.
If there's a more fiscally responsible option, we are gonna try to go that way.
Exactly.
What about the possibility of moving shippers?
So that's part of what they have is they either will ship or they will haul it off apart. That's the issue too. I don't know if anybody's tried to haul any debris right now. It's a 3-hour wait in line in your vehicle to drop things off. And the landscapers don't have a pass that lets them go in front of everyone.
So actually, Branch Park will open back up again on Monday. They'll have chippers out there, they're moving up to drop off, and they will run chippers, I think, maybe run around the clock through the following Sunday, they're going to 7 days straight.
Sure.
And they said, they're opening back up for more drop off, and if anybody wants mulch, come get it this spring.
That's okay.
So, and one thing to your point though, Trish, is we talked about doing those things, like a chipper or a drop off spot. And one thing Jennifer brought up was, what about the residents who don't have a truck? What about the residents or who are elderly? And so that's where we really are trying to go to the resident.
Oh, I completely agree.
But I love that, and we can definitely include that in some information
Yeah.
about risk profile.
The city's doing it, it's on the city's website, so we can do, not just residents of the city, but all of our base.
What's that, Steve?
I just came from water district meeting. And, they were going over this extensive. And first thing.
What is, yeah, I like to see.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Folks can hear you at home.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was speaking louder. Is that better?
Probably.
Okay. They definitely will not do the dumpsters because it was unsuccessful last time. Too many bad apple bringing trash down. So that's all they do. The next thing they told me that they have their own issues, their budget's extremely tight. And they don't know what they are going to be able to do down the road. That doesn't mean right now.
Steve, could you actually stand up? They can't hear you on the call.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Being closer to this.
So they said, the good news is TDS is going to be doing extra. They don't know how much yet. But it's going to be more like the 3-foot bundles and only 35 pounds. And they have to be out the curb for pickup day. They said they would be issuing a memo probably tomorrow with the times, dates, and restrictions. So long and short of it is everybody's going to have to either haul their own off or bundle it up for TDS to pick it up. There's going to be 2 dates. They said, I believe was 27th and the following March 6th to do that. And then everybody can have 2 special pickups that they order themselves, and they can do more. But again, it's going to be the restriction of having it pre-bundled, and they're not going to take it just like it is now, jumped it on the curve.
Did they say if that's moving up the spring ones, or this is gonna be in addition to? Because Doug and Paul indicated to me that they were talking about getting TDS to move up the spring ones, because they're contracted to do so many of those per year, as
Right.
opposed to paying for extra events.
So there's 2 of those. Yeah, they said they were trying to arrange for more of them,
Okay,
more being vague,
that's great.
but they want to do what they can to help us, but it looks like the only way we're gonna get anything is from TDS. The water district themselves really doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
They got enough of their own to take care of.
So I
And
guess
so,
I have 2 thoughts off of this. One, I just want to highlight, we as an HOA board, we're not driving around and giving violations to anybody who has liens. So I just
No,
want to say that,
that would
like,
be very bad.
yeah. Until we have a solid solution, you can leave your limbs where they're at, like, do not worry about that at all. And then my other question is, you're saying it's a financing issue. What is the legality of us approaching WCID and saying, look, you have an easier access through waste management? you don't have the funds, we have a rainy day fund, we can pay, but can we transfer money from us to WCID for them to do that?
So what it would be basically is, we get billed by WCID for, the trash. That's why when I called TDS and was talking to them, they wouldn't talk to me, they wouldn't give me any numbers. They said because our contract is municipal contract with WCID. So that's where I had to go back to WCID. So what I would imagine, I may be grossly oversimplifying it, it would just be a matter of WCID billing us for whatever that is.
Can we potentially look into that? Because if their hands are tied monetarily, I would be open to saying, you get a quote from them of what it would look like to do big haul offs. And then we'll just cover it.
So the only other thing is, and I'll confirm this, but I seem to recall somebody mentioning that TDS wouldn't even do anything above and beyond the bundle, 3-foot bundles, 35 pounds. It's not very much, but that's the extent of their pickup. They don't even offer this additional service. I'll confirm, I could be wrong. But definitely the other thing I thought I had was just now this evening, I'm trying to think outside the box. When Steve mentioned that they're gonna try to get something out tomorrow, is maybe even just worst case scenario, we send a message to the community saying, hey, do you have a service provider that you would recommend to your neighbors? And we can post those on the website. So those folks that are elderly, or I know a wonderful lady emailed me saying she just had her hip replaced. She can barely get around. Let's just go pick up, a bunch of, to give some people resources, because sometimes they just don't know where to turn. This is such a once every, well, at this juncture, every 2 year issue. So I did this, trying to help.
Marcia, when I floated the dumpster idea to them, they all liked it, but their attorney said they don't think they can do that because of the liability.
Right.
And so it's probably not gonna happen there. I don't know if they don't do it, if we might consider doing it here down the road, that's another story.
The issue too with the dumpsters, aside from the trash too, is
Well, no dumpsters, I'm talking just chipper.
chipper.
Basically chip, leave a pile, chips there, and people come and use it for mulch, and then when it's all over, maybe get a dumpster to take the residual off, but that way you won't end up with mattresses and couches.
Let me share, this is Clemens speaking. Let me share what we do, and we've done this for a couple of years actually. Dealing with the disposal company, we got a couple of extra barrels, and it's very inexpensive to get a couple of extra barrels. I don't know whether it's $30 or $40 a quarter, and there's no commitment. They'll deliver the barrels, and now you've got barrels that are bags. And let me tell you, you can put a lot of stuff in the barrel, and it's not going to help chop down the trees. You have to change that, John. But as far as getting rid of the stuff, a couple 3 weeks, and it's all going to be gone. You can get as many barrels as you want. So that's what we've been doing, and we did it for a big freeze. We're doing it this time, and I think it'll be a no pain kind of way out for us.
Can we get that in blasts? I don't think most people know about it.
And by the way, I did have to do the deal with some confusion. I had to do the deal directly with Texas Disposal.
Okay.
I get bills separately.
Yeah, I think we could, brainstorm some, several options for people that included. Maybe if you have anybody you recommend, we'll put together a list of people, and then, if there's something additional that maybe we can fund directly to TDS. So I can, at least hopefully, once we have WCID's position, we have a starting point of where we can go from there.
I think that's a good plan, that's
Yeah.
to
Want to help people.
Great, it's actually
it's overwhelming.
the PDS does not have the equipment to go around and pick up massive levels of things. They can pick up basically transportation. But there were a lot of school boys that seen on Facebook advertising, they come around and grab it, put it on the trailers and haul it off. And that's all over your express.
That's good.
And so the fastest way is gonna be for people to just kind of handle things on their computer. Get a neighborhood, load your truck up, or I'm like one of these high school kids that's charging $50 to go clean up your yard.
It's hard because we have to have a receipt.
Uh,
I love the idea because I've been sitting.
No,
at
I'm
home-
not talking about kids.
Oh, okay. I was like,
My neighbors and I, we all get together, we put everything together and haul it all in the branch card. And we were done today.
I will say, I've lived in Belterra 15+ years, I've never seen the neighbors help the neighbors like I did. Yeah, it was incredible.
Fix up, I'm assuming that's why you're on landfill, instead of being chipped, we use.
Better options, you know.
as we're talking, I kind of am wondering, could we maybe find multiple companies and like rent a chipper and have the companies like, let's say on a Thursday, drive around, pick everything up, drop it at the Belterra Rec Center, and then ship it the next day. Does that make sense? So then we're paying, but we're not paying anybody to wait in a long line at the dumpster. It's right here, grab stuff, come back, grab stuff, come back.
I'm not sure that there's a lot of space for it.
No country, like you go rent outdoor equipment there. It was, I mean, there's so many, you know, dudes with a truck and a trailer and waiting in line. Yeah, it was bonkers. I was that first one Monday.
Well, we have a lot more information than we did before. Thank you, Steve, and we'll be getting information. Us as a board will continue to talk about what we can do to help the community. We obviously want to do that, so.
Jamie, meeting wasn't over when I left. They said they're going to find this thing, so what comes out of this memo tomorrow is going to have specifics. How many pickups, bundle size, allowances, dates, that sort of thing. That'll give you a lot more information to go on in terms of how to look at that.
Absolutely. Now, we've been waiting for this information.
Will you send that out? Because I know there's people in the neighborhood that don't get it. We get
Yes.
communications.
But did they mention, because it was just WCID one meeting tonight.
Correct.
WCID 2 is next week.
I'm flat out here.
Whatever one does, all of them do. So I didn't know, maybe they.
Number 2 is next week.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they'll collaborate.
That's what I'm assuming is, unless they're just gonna do
They're
their.
two separate boards. It's
Possibly. All right, we'll check if we, I mean, do we see any, you know, you got that in my head.
Ned said about the extra cans, people that can't haul their own.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great option, even glass, so that everybody knows about it.
Right.
What
But I
I,
much rather can those bags are great.
what I do, and this is just me, I love Kennedy also. I've already chopped up chainsaw with my waste and it's in bags.
Yeah.
And I have
Fix me on the beach, I'll say, because people are gonna really have cheese on.
two. What I've done, so TDS will pick up, as I understand it, 2 yard waste bags from every residence, every trash bag, so 2 bags a week. I have 12 bags, and I just gave it to my neighbors that don't have long bags in front of their house. And all of a sudden, my 12 bags is 2 bags in front of 6 houses.
Yeah.
We tried that yesterday and pick up the bags.
There's a third truck that was about to do this.
At least on them.
They got one yesterday, I noticed.
To their point about not putting it just in the general availability property, so that's.
Oh, if I would like the extra cans, every can you get 2 bags. So,
Okay.
all of a
So
sudden,
that's 4
you know,
bags.
I've got 2 cans.
I just can't stand the bags, packing this kind of debris in those bags.
It's
God bless you.
I've got some safe
Right,
techniques.
you have to sign up for a year.
I think it's a quarter,
Order.
but again,
That sounds
for 2 cans,
It's
I think it's $30 or $40.
I inherited
It's
2
a lot
cans.
cheaper than hiring somebody else.
It's probably cheaper than bags.
And you have everything at once.
Okay, did you have anything else in the manager report?
I'll do it, by the end of this, probably won't have weeks left.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you very much. The financial review, Bob, do you wanna?
Martha, sorry.
Minutes.
I still got that for lunches in the truck.
Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
I love the image for the financial review.
Ooh, money, okay, financial review as of December 1st, 2022. Is our unaudited financials, the total assets in the operating account are $844,664.22. In the reserve account, we had $218, $218,251.87. You probably have done better. It's actually 15. This is the Cove's own money, like, oh, they always run out in the financials. $158,000, capital improvement account, $241,592. So these are year-end financials. Of course, nothing is completely set in stone until the audit is done, but the total operating income was up 5.8% from what was budgeted due to that insurance claim proceeds. So we received insurance claim proceeds for the 2021 storm, I believe. They were received in 2022. Total operating expenses were down 6.5% from what was budgeted, primarily due to no additional landscaping work expenses. I guess there probably were some projects that were initially planned, but never executed because last year was a little bit of a hectic year and other things. And then, of course, the difficulty in the lifeguarding staffing that definitely left a very big positive variance there. As such, because of all these, the unaudited financials are reflecting a net operating income of $144,513. So that's really, really good. That basically boosts the equity standing of the association. The Belterra reserve account is currently at approximately 32% funded. As we know, the reserve study is pending. It is wrapping up, and that is my fault because everything went boom with all the freezes, and I still owed him a couple of documents, but I did get them those this week. So those funding targets are likely to change, and the plan is still, like Bob and I had talked about, get that reserve study finished up, and then be able to look at where we are in the operating, how much of that is excess operating, because as you can see, there's $844,000 in the operating account. That is definitely more than you'll need there. So that is good that we will be able to figure out what needs to go where. We'll make a formal recommendation on that in the, at the next meeting, likely. Let's see here. Oh, there, just okay. Any questions?
Have we restarted the insurance process on this most recent round of damage?
Oh, yeah, Jackson. Yeah, they've already made it out. The only thing that's still pending, which I haven't signed or sent over for you guys to sign, the sworn proof of loss, because I don't know yet if this stuff of damage up here is part of that. So I was supposed to get the second bid on that. He promised it to me today, and I didn't see it in my email before the meeting started, so I'll ping him in the morning. Just want to get, that other bid just to make sure. I know you guys had asked about whether or not that was normal. I don't know what normal is anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know such thing. No. Honestly, I expected it to be higher. And it could still be higher because that's quite literally just for demo, investigative, fix. So we don't know what we're going to get into when we get back there. And if there's not substantial evidence to confirm that it is freeze damage, then they're not going to pay out. I mean, of course, I'm gonna do everything I can to the nail, but we do have to proceed with the assumption that we're paying for this out of our pocket just in case.
Yeah. So what would they argue that it would be? Just workmanship or normal wear and tear? Like,
We would have to, I would think that if there's not something like, proof of moisture back there, active trip, or showing that piece of flashing is come away, that's allowing water to get back there, to cause that expansion.
we don't have evidence of that,
We
right?
don't have evidence of that, but if they find that, then great, they're gonna document. But we would just, if you're staining on the wood, Well, and that proves that there's water in there. Because that expansion of the water obviously could put that stuff out. I can tell you though, I used to manage the customer service department for a stucco company in Arizona. Long time ago, but stucco, it's concrete, like it does weird things, like it cracks, it is odd that it quite literally looks like it's sliding down and buckled off. I don't know if any of you have gone and taken a look at it, but it's very weird. I've never seen anything like that. Now, the only time I saw something like that, we won't get down rabbit hole here, but was at the customer company I worked at. They were in the middle of litigation because of, we called it the faulty stucco, but it was the lime that was sold to them that got mixed in with the stucco material was faulty, and then it caused excessive cracking, and there were literally whole walls of houses that had to be completely ripped down and started over. It was a mess. But this building is way too old to go back on construction defect. That whole, and what is even the statute of repose would be gone. So yes, we're gonna, y'all get that next bid. We'll make a decision on which company to go with, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can prove that it's has something to do with the freeze.
Thanks for looking into that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just was like, I can't confidently say that that is a good price, so let's get another number.
Thank you, Marcia.
Absolutely.
Very much. Next, we have committee updates. With the establishment of committees, we'd like the chairs and liaisons of each committee to provide a short update regarding activities, accomplishments, and requests. Start with Clement with the Resident Advisory Committee.
Yeah, the RAC, the Resident Advisory Committee, we have focused in our last couple of meetings on establishing, prioritizing subcommittees, new directions, as was our charter. The one that has risen to the top in terms of priority is the Strategic Planning Committee. So we feel there's a need for strategic planning, and it should be handled by a committee. And so to that end, we prepared a charter for that committee, which we respectfully submitted to the board. And hopefully the board will approve that committee charter today.
Okay. He's not here. Can you speak on the service providers, value assurance committee, or no? Any updates there?
Not in any depth. Of course, the convention report was this offspring of the SPVAC committee, and that's where I put my attention.
Which, thank you for doing that. That was a lot of time and probably not a very fun process. So we appreciate you.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Clement, very much. Thank you.
Did you want to make a motion to appoint the
Well, we can appoint the chairperson. That's clear. The roster of members is still a little unclear, as people are juggling in the RAC in order to find out who really wants to shift attention or to share attention with the strategic planning committee. But certainly, I would make a motion that you folks, the board approves the charter for the strategic planning committee, and additionally that Kat Williams would chair that committee. All right.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thanks to both of you. Thank you. I'll handle the next one, the welcoming committee, the liaison for the welcoming committee. We had our first welcoming orientation for the community, and I thought it went really, really well. I think as it continues to go on, we'll get more and more people who come, but the orientation itself was very fun and entertaining, informative. I think the people who attended got a lot out of it, and Marcia did a great job with that orientation, and Byron as well, so.
I do love
It was really great. It was very upbeat and very informative. I learned some new things about our community, so the welcoming committee is up and running, and the welcoming committee is a lot of wonderful memory, a lot of members who are doing a lot of great things, so
Great.
Thank
Next,
you so much for doing that.
oh yeah, no, it's a great group. The Architectural Modification Committee, Marcia, you want to talk about that?
Sure, I mean, it's been great because Carla has pretty much taken the helm on that. So she's been including the, kind of updates in your board weekly update that goes to you guys, how many, submittals, approvals, kind of what's being approved. So if you guys are ever curious about anything you see come across that, saying, well, I've not heard of that before, what is that? You know, just reach out to Darla, and she'll be happy to send it over. Maybe it's something you want to do, who knows? But that's going really well. Do you have anything to add, Darla?
No, except for the kind of one-offs and kind of crazy.
She's learning to like.
Yeah, I'm learning their kind of likes and dislikes and preferences, so I'm trying to tweak things as I send them to them, so. I have learned that they don't like a whole lot of different pieces of paper, like everything in one thing. So I take my time and I try to gather everything and then put it in one nice little gift wrap box to them and say, there you go, look at this.
Thank you, Darla.
Yeah, I think it was great, as well, trying to give me some advice and it's been a fun learning process. I've learned a lot. I still don't have everything memorized in the CCRs, but I'm like, I know I've seen that. I know I've seen that. I've learned a lot. It's been fun.
Thank you, Darla. Thank you very much. A lot of great committee work going on. We'll move on to old business, the ratification of actions taken between meetings. The board should ratify that it took the following actions between meetings. We approved the distribution of the fireworks enforcement communications to the community. May I have a motion to ratify the approval and distribution of the fireworks enforcement communications to the community?
So.
Thank you, Trish. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Clement. Any discussion about that?
Are we supposed to vote the same way we voted? Or is this just to vote that that happened?
You can put it out. For this is just an acknowledgement that the board did, in fact, take action outside of the meeting, and this is the action I was talking about.
Oh, ratifying process, okay.
All in favor, say aye. All right, motion carries unanimously. And we're gonna talk next about the 2023 lifeguarding schedule. At the November 2022 meeting, the board of directors received proposals from various lifeguard companies, choosing I Am Ready Swim as the provider for 2023, subject to the finalization of the schedule and contract review by legal counsel. In coordination with I Am Ready Swim, historical schedules, and community needs, management has prepared a schedule for the board's review. At this time, we are only approving the schedule. The contract is itemized under new business. Anything else to add about that, Marcia? Is that?
Yeah, like I sent you guys a follow-up yesterday. I met with Miranda she's the owner of I Am Ready Swim, to discuss some questions that the board had on the various questions you guys had on the scheduling and whatnot. And what kind of additional best practices. And let's see here. I put my notes in our conversation at the top of this in that second tab. Reminding myself, I even did here. So some of the questions that you guys had was, do you have to have 4 lifeguards? And there was a question of minimum requirements. And because especially with how Belterra's pool is a little bit, the 2 pools are kind of spread out a little bit, and there's sightline concerns. Basically, she said minimum requirements is actually driven more by the number of people and swimmers and the ability to see the whole pool than it is by actual minimum pools. So we can on certain days get by with 3 group hertz, the days that maybe there's enough, enough usage out there to warrant guards, but maybe we don't need 4. But 4 would be better in the circumstances for things like holidays and on weekends. And then maybe needing additional lifeguards for parties. So residents have, I know, what residents have.
When she loses it, that's the end of the meeting.
Sometimes it's private pool parties out there, so we may need to consider double checking on the rental form to make sure that if they are having a private party, they need to pay with that additional lifeguard for that event. So you guys have questions about how I am ready, staffs the shifts and how many people we actually hired to take care of Belterra, and I was actually surprised. She said, I like to go in and overstaff. I'm gonna hire 20 to 30 people with the idea of Belterra's contract. I was like, what, 20 to 30 people just for, but most of these people are high school students or college students, and they're not looking for 40 hours a week full-time gig. And that's a lot for lifeguard person out in the sun, people, you are a lifeguard. So 20 to 30 guards, so that made me very, very happy that, and so the core group would likely just be Belterra. On the off chance that, people call in sick and they can't get someone from our core group that knows Belterra, likely she's gonna pull from like Steiner Ranch. So it's not gonna be, nobody's gonna be driving, an hour and a half to come for, $16, $17 an hour gig. So it's going to be people in this general vicinity. And she does definitely want to market to Belterra as, we're hiring. She's already had 2 Belterra residents just from the communication, that board brief I sent out saying that you guys chose I am ready. They called and said, my kid wants to lifeguard at Belterra. So she's like, this is great. We're already heading in the right direction. Jared has a lot of guards returning. Last year was tough. There was a question of if he's worried about what you guys experienced, not having enough people to actually staff the pool. She said she's not worried about that at all. She said there was only one pool she had that issue with last summer. And that was a pool out in Hutto because she had 10 guards that all got COVID, that all served that one pool. She said it's the only time she was not able to fully staff the contract was because of that. And I was like, wow, that's great. I said, well, how do you keep your people? They do guard of the month, they do bonuses, they do rewards for attendance. They will do parties that if you have a certain percentage of attendance, that you get to go to that. So you want to be a crew of the crap lifeguard, you get to go to the fun parties, you better show up for your shift. So
Maybe they shouldn't let them go to parties if they all get COVID.
This was cool. I was surprised they have a schedule that tracks their location. So when they clock in, if they're not actually at the location, it sends an alert.
Wow.
That's cool. I was like, that's cool. I wouldn't have thought that from, I don't know why, I just, and then they had a question about those swim lessons. She said that they could offer the swim lessons if Ford is okay with it. It is definitely a separate swim instructor than is of the lifeguard. She said that, but it may be that the swim instructor in the morning then finishes the swim instruction and then goes and does the shift lifeguard. But it is not a double dip situation.
It doesn't overlap.
It's not overlap, correct. No overlap. She said that that's up to 5 kids per class, 9 a.m. to noon, $125 for 6 sessions. It's 2 weeks long, 3 sessions a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It runs from June 1st to August 1st, and they all pay, and I just went directly with a $20 registration fee. So we don't have to decide on that tonight if you guys want to participate in that. It's just, since it was something she had included, it was.
And then it's not a 4-hour class or 3-hour class for one kid, right? It'd be like every hour, and they switch every 30 minutes.
So the schedule that I'm really kind of excited about, because she and I were really batting the ball back and forth. Okay, but what about this? What about that? One of the things that we initially had in there was Monday through Friday before school lets out, so early May, that we originally were putting 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. She said, I'm gonna say, let's do 5 p.m. because a lot of the guards are high schoolers or college students that are not out of class yet. And she said, I don't think that would be a good use of your money because many pools don't ramp up until at 5 p.m. anyway during the week. And I said, great, I appreciate that. And I will say that through my whole conversation with her, she kept trying to talk me out of more hours, which I thought was interesting. I thought we were for Saturdays, when there are swim meets at 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. because they would have the exclusive of the pool up until 2 p.m. On Sundays, 12 to 8 p.m. I did ask her about her thoughts on extending the Sunday hours to 9 PM. And she said that it wouldn't be necessary for, she doesn't think that you would get any more usage out of it. She said that the guards wouldn't mind getting off early on a Sunday because they're going to school on the next day. So it wouldn't increase the probability of maintaining staffing and like that was something that kind of came up.
I think our thoughts with that was just the ease of being like Monday through Friday, 5 to 9, Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 9.
Right.
But if it doesn't make sense, then we
Yeah.
don't do it.
So the exceptions to that May 1st through May 29th would be obviously, the last day of school, which I think is May 26th. She will be doing, and during the week, the Monday through Friday would be 3 guards as opposed to 4. She said we wouldn't need the full 4 guards if we didn't want to. 2 PM to 9 PM on that Friday, May 26th, with 4 guards, and then Monday, May 29th, Memorial Day, 4 guards, held to 9 because of Memorial Day.
Yeah.
That's a big. May 30th through August 15th, so now we're talking about schools out and before school starts again. Again, this has Trooping Springs released their 2023-24 calendar. I don't think so, so there may be a couple tweaks to this depending on the actual first day of school. I took my best shot at it. So schools out Monday through Friday, 3 to 9, 4 months. Saturday, Sunday, again, same thing as before school lets out on the weekends, and then the exception being July 4th. 12 PM to 9 PM guards. And when school goes back into session, we'd be going back to that Monday through Friday, 5 to 9, 3 guards. And then Saturdays, so the weekends would still be the same. And the exception for being the very last day, which would be September, Labor Day, 12 to 9 for guards. So for a total with that schedule would be $90,960. You guys budgeted $130,000. That was her recommendation. She did not know 130 was on the table. So I kept that off the. But it's up to you guys, if you want to beat things up more or, but based on her experience, she said this is almost carbon copy. As far as number of guards and stuff that Steiner Ranch does, I know they're a big comp kind of Belterra. Except that Steiner Ranch is open, they don't have guards before school lets out, and they stop guards when school goes back into session.
DSISD's academic calendar is out for next year.
Who did come out?
DSISD's calendar is on their website now.
Oh, shoot.
Tuesday, August 15th.
You
Okay, so we can do that.
So, yeah, just quickly, I don't know if you guys come down here various hours of school, but I think that having lifeguard here till 9 o'clock, especially during the week, is probably a waste of time. You can take easily an hour off. Leave Friday, Saturday till 9, and Sunday through Thursday, cut it off at 8. Because the people there that need guarding are like 30. Almost maybe they're not adults, or older kids.
I will say the very benefit of guards until closing is because school's closed.
And then also they go around because we talked about that, especially with the Sunday one, and
They're responsible.
they got the
Rest of them responsible.
our previous lifeguarding company, from my understanding, when I asked, wouldn't touch the bathrooms and stuff. This one, they are gonna check the bathrooms every hour. They're gonna walk and look for trash. They will be skimming. They will be checking baskets. So, and they will be doing closing. So they'll make sure all the umbrellas are shut, everybody's down. And so it is kind of nice to make sure you have that final set of eyes on everything before, but I do appreciate your comment on.
Steve, I know you use the pool more than anybody I know, so thank you for the feedback. Are we ready to make a motion to approve the lifeguard pool schedule for 2023 tonight?
Do we wait until we make the changes for the school year?
Yeah, I guess. You can do it like,
I can do
Yeah, it's like one day I think has to be changed.
Thanks for looking that up.
Of course. They did post.
I just looked at it and it's there.
Okay, so they get out on the 15th is their last day.
2024, right?
Yeah, 23 or 24. So what's the first day of school? 15th?
Tuesday, August 15th.
Oh, it's the first. That's right. Okay, cool. So let me just change that to 1,700 hours. $90,720. I like that number too. I mean, to your point too, we were talking. Actually, understand. Okay. Motion,
Anybody wants to make a motion to approve the 2023 lifeguard schedule as presented?
So moving.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Trish. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to new business, the SPVAC, is that how you read it? Speedback, thank you. Speedback Kid Venture reports. I'm gonna ask Clement to speak on behalf of the Speedback regarding the Kid Venture report.
We did vote to accept it as a board, or I guess that motion passed. And I'll say that once again, echoing what the point of it was to explore ways that the policies and procedures fell short during the Kid Venture event, and identifying those and then moving towards recommendations on how to close the gap on those. The results were in 4 major categories: board awareness, board management, messaging, community feedback follow-up, and community engagement. So it was useful, it was worthwhile to go through. It was not, let me just comment on what it wasn't. It was not in any way intended to resolve all opinions and counter opinions and thoughtful and less thoughtful ruminations about what happened on Kid Venture. It was restricted to, as I say, identifying opportunities for improvement. With that being said, the report is finished, and I expect we will find some mechanism for making it available for review. What is not in there is in the recommendations. There are recommendations that the board undertake creation of certain policies and procedures in order to close those gaps, and those are going to require thought, effort, and time. So we'll be making those available for a vote as they're finished. And I want to thank Bob for participating as a board liaison in the final stages of getting this done.
I didn't do anything compared to you.
Speak real quick. I just want to speak really quick. Like, he has spent countless hours on this over the last few months, speaking to many different residents, fine tuning this and making sure that this is going to be a constructive piece that we can move forward with. And he did a phenomenal job on it. So we really appreciate you for that.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you, Clement. Yeah, incredible. They can get so many stakeholders and just that document's fantastic. So thank you.
I don't think we have to move out yet.
So so if I can get a motion to accept the Speedback Kid Venture report is presented and distributed to the community via email.
My motion.
Thank you, Kat.
Second.
Thank you, Bob.
Could we also, I don't know if we have to make this part of the motion, probably a link to it somewhere in the blast or the.
Yeah.
Something like
And I'll link it, put it on the website as well.
that. Okay.
Okay, so we'll add that to the motion. In addition to the.
Let's take on the.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, motion passes unanimously. Wonderful. Thank you. Bylaw amendment, the board of directors' authority to level fee fines on behalf of the association is found in section 7.05 of the bylaws. Language regarding the maximum amount of the fine allowable article subsection I has come into question, therefore, at the direction of the board, management has solicited an amendment to this provision from legal counsel. May I have a motion to adopt the amendment that deletes Article 7, Section 70.05I in its entirety and replace it with the following. Fines shall be levied in accordance with the association's fine and enforcement policy, provided that no fine shall be levied for an initial single violation in an amount that is excessive of $1,000, and provided that each day a violation continues after a written notice is given to. Such owner shall constitute a separate violation. That was a mouthful. But does anybody want to make a motion to make follow the standard procedure?
Before we motion, so this is specifically with the issue of, pointed towards the issue of people trying to Airbnb out their house or simply their pool. And is there a way that we can word this, that we make it very clear, this is for, that fines can be up to $1,000 for activities of residents trying to raise revenue? Because I just, like leaving your trash can out, all these different things, I want to make sure that we're not like.
It's a maximum, and it's hard to delineate what you're saying, because then we fall into the issue of pigeonholing ourselves with just, because, you know, 5, 6 years ago, we might have not anticipated that the Airbnb issue would be the problem that it is, so it's hard to anticipate, so that's why you just have a maximum with the discretion to go up to that point, depending on the facts and circumstances.
And also it's the fine policy that's going to set the various levels of fines. This is
Right.
like the maximum, okay? But the fine policy would delineate between the Airbnb situation. Or trash cans or anything.
So there's another level of protection there.
Yeah.
Right.
Any more discussion about that? Okay, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Do I hear-
Second.
Thank you, Trish. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any more discussion? The motion passes unanimously. Wonderful. Thank you. So next up is the social media policy. In an effort to engage the community and disseminate information in ways other than the weekly Belterra blast, the board of directors would like to engage social media in a positive way. However, before we dive into the social media world, management and legal counsel advise the adoption of a social media policy leveraging best practices from CCMC and guidance from legal counsel. A draft social media policy is presented to the board. And so we've had a lot of discussion about it. We've talked about it. We've looked at it. I don't know if people are ready to make a motion to accept the social media policy as presented or want some discussion around that.
And Kat had some comments too.
Yeah.
I think, did they already get me? So essentially, I thought that it talked about moderating, deleting content, revoking access, but I thought we should also have, because in my mind, I was like, oh, we're gonna create a Facebook page. But the definition for social media includes blogs, wikis, message boards, online forums, etc. And so I thought that we should make sure we have an extra protection in there. In section 5, talking about creation of social media, all proposed social media shall be approved by the board. And it's implemented by management. I didn't just want a manager just going and deciding, oh, today I'm gonna start this social media account, like make sure we have approval before it gets created. And then the other part, there was something, it was what Clint added, I think, or this came from Clint, and I'm trying to see if I can find it. It talked about how, like, protection of name.
2.4.
Yeah, found it. Thank you. And it essentially said no resident or other person can use the names Belterra, Belterra Community, or Belterra Community Association, Inc. as part of their social media name. And I feel like Belterra Community and Belterra Community Association are okay, but utilizing the name Belterra. We've already got Belterra Neighbors, Belterra Neighbors 2.0, Belterra Village, Chick-fil-A, Belterra Village. So like I just went to Facebook and just searched it, and I mean, like, I just kept scrolling and I was like, and there's tons more that I'm not even saying. Snakes of Belterra is one of them, which we are so grateful for, because they moved your snakes for you. So, I guess I propose that we remove the Belterra, so it's just in no event shall any owner, resident, or other person use the names Belterra Community or Belterra Community Association as the name of, or as part of the name of any social media outlet with the restaurant of the board. So, those are kind of
That
my
makes sense.
high points. Thank you.
You want to make a motion with those edits and?
Sure. Motion that we adopt the social media policy as presented. May I have a second? Do I ask that or do you ask that?
Yeah. Maybe we have a second?
As presented.
Yeah. so-
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously.
Who seconded?
I thought you did.
Oh,
So Kat made the motion.
sorry.
Who wants to second it?
No,
No, Cat made the motion.
yeah,
Yeah, Kat made the motion.
my mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, I seconded it, but I said so moved. and so seconded.
I took it as you.
Yeah.
I thought you were just moved by the whole thing. Okay, so Belterra social media engagement, the next step is to authorize management to establish social media platforms for Belterra community associations. We've talked about this for a long time, it's been a long time coming. May I have a motion to approve the existing Instagram page, Belterra _community, and Facebook public page, Belterra community, and the creation of a Facebook private resident group and YouTube channel.
Am I allowed to inquire about the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
So I guess it's the first I'm hearing, so I'm curious.
This is kind of Byron's brainchild. He wants to do like spotlights in the community, areas, maybe doing like, engaging, some of the youth to, talk about something that's cool or whatnot. I don't know, getting to that point in my age where I don't know what kids do anymore.
Kids love YouTube, like my kids just are on YouTube all the time.
The events and stuff.
Yeah, it's a good way to connect with the kids. I think that's the audience that.
And I think we talked about it briefly. I know when they were trying to do the youth outreach, but there was a lot of question about the membership, youngsters. And so it's kind of like, well, I think that kind of died in the water a little bit, but still in the spirit of that, a way to, reach out to those kiddos. We've also done like where we would post, these meeting recordings, post, different categories. Post that there, that's the home of it, and you link back to, rather than it living on a Google Drive. And some other communities I've managed, we've done, if there's a project, big project going in the community, I spot to show people, hey, here's where we're at with this, they just put foundation, or whatever the case may be. So it's been pretty well received on stuff like that.
Awesome, that sounds great.
Now, the thing I do want to point out on the screen grabs I did of the proposed, it's hidden, right? It's technically created on the Facebook group. There is an about that has some, I don't know if y'all read that or not, what the community is about, so you may want to take a look at that language and see if you're cool with it or not. It says, welcome to the Belterra Community Association Facebook group. The purpose of this group is to allow homeowners a positive, safe environment to post questions, ideas, photos, referrals, and create events. In addition to monitoring the group page, the association will post information about lifestyle and community updates. Any photos taken by the association team may be posted on the group page without prior consent. Joining the group, all group members agree to abide by the following guidelines. All content must be positive energy. Content should relate specifically to Belterra or surrounding city events and news. Any content being inappropriate or creates an unnecessary stir will be deleted. Repeated action will result in removal from the group. Please do not use Facebook Messenger to message admins, association team, or board of directors. messages go to an phone. It's a very slippery slope, that if you start responding on Facebook Messenger, then it's.
Well, and that's also hard because your stuff isn't all in once. You need it to be in the email, so that way when you need to reference back to it, you know where it's at. It's not like, oh, is it in the Instagram message? Is it in the Facebook chat? Is it in my email? It's like, no, just email us. And we could even maybe have like a response to, this is a, thank you for your message. This is an unmonitored, please email.
Yes, for TX. Facebook group will not be recognized as a valid venue for complaints. All compliance concerns, defense matters, or complaints should be submitted in email to the community manager with constructive feedback. We are confident that this resource will offer Belterra residents another way to positively and productively, to make sure to point that out, especially because we let them else. If anyone has anything that they have an issue with.
Anybody have an issue with anything?
No,
I would like to read it one more time.
No, it's really good. Thank you for putting it together. And I just want to highlight for any residents who may have questions about this. We talked about the Belterra Neighbors page that already exists, and we're so grateful for those who run it. The issue is management doesn't run it, and there runs into a liability issue that if we start posting on there as if it's an official page, if something were to go wrong, then we could potentially be liable, and they'd be like, well, you posted like it, like I thought it was the official page because y'all post official things there. And so we can't really utilize Belterra Neighbors, which is why you don't see us as board members posting on there very much. Is to protect the association liability wise, because a lawsuit is horrible just for the community at large and also for home values. And so this is our medium. Hopefully Marcia would be, or whoever the community manager is, will run it. They will make sure that people, as they are approved to come in, that they are actual residents. And so we can post agendas there, we can post events there, we can post meeting notes. So this is really going to be a great avenue and tool, and y'all will be able to make comments there. Once again, it's not like the valid way to get to us. So if you really have something you want us to see, definitely email. But it is going to be so great, and it has been a lot of hard work, and I'm excited to see it come forward.
It's a good repository of information for people to go to a single source, so thank you.
And it should be a better way to put out more factual information from the board.
Right.
Then we are able to utilize Belterra Neighbors 2.0 on Facebook, because we don't have that. So I would anticipate as issues come up in those groups that we don't control, we would be able to direct people towards the Belterra community group where we can openly engage.
Yeah, this is in the spirit of improving communication, and I think it's a long step toward that. So thank you, Kat, for adding all of that. Do we have a motion? May I have a motion to approve the existing Instagram page, Belterra_community, Facebook public page, Belterra community, and the creation of a Facebook private resident group and the YouTube channel?
Emotion.
Thank you, Kat. Do I have a second? Thank you, Clement. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. Wonderful. Okay, next up is the amended and restated enforcement and fine policy. Legal counsel has also prepared the amended and restated enforcement and fine policy that increases the fine amount for incurable violations in section 7.01C of the declaration regarding leasing of units to $1,000 per occurrence. Can I have a motion to amend and reinstate the enforcement and fine policy as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Trish. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I know we have a lot on the agenda tonight. 2022 audit engagement. May I have a motion to engage Armstrong, Bond and Associates PC for the 2022 audit? You want to say anything about the?
It's the same firm as used for the past years. owners, they've been doing a great job. So.
All right.
I think it's kind of really, I think the people at home see it. Why don't you come in here, you gotta listen to it.
Thing going on, so I'll use
Boy.
Should have little cartoon characters.
So may I have a motion to engage Armstrong Bond and Associates PC for the 2022? Thank you, Trish. Do I have a second? Okay, Clement, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, aye, motion passes unanimously. Recreation Center Fire Alarm System Upgrade. Management recommends taking no action on this item as more information is needed for the board to render a decision. So we're not ready to vote on that yet.
Enjoy his feedback.
Okay. Okay.
Next time.
Winterization guidelines. In an effort to further mitigate freeze damage, management review the winterization guidelines and present changes for board adoption. What would you like to say? Andy? I know, what can you say about that?
That I know I'm seeing from this is the photos of the splash pad. I'm gonna find it. There we go. The photos of the splash pad. Photos are. So what I tried to do, let me kind of the changes that I made. Back up. So explaining here that when these procedures would be implemented, if you guys recall previously, it said when it's for an extended period of time, when freezing temperatures, okay, well, what does that mean? Is that a day, is it 2 days, 4 days?
Yeah.
What is that?
So it's very specific now. Do you want me to read it for you?
Sure.
So it says, in an effort to minimize the damage that may occur from winter weather, the following winterization guidelines is intended to outline actions to be taken to minimize, prevent issues at the HOA facilities related to cold weather. These procedures should be implemented if temperatures are anticipated to fall below 32 degrees for more than 24 consecutive hours, or if temperatures are anticipated to fall below 25 degrees Fahrenheit for any duration of time, for example, overnight.
That may be pretty impressive, but it's like, yes, if the forecast is calling for under 25 for any period of time, just, you'll do it winterizing. And we're gonna have that extended, like a full day freezing temperatures, because that's what happened over Christmas. Is it was like a full 24 hours, but under 32 degrees. So that's kind of where I came up with those numbers, but we can talk.
No, I think that's great, because I know for us that we know it's gonna be overnight below 25, we're running our water rather than just having it covered, so this looks perfect.
So then I put in there what our expectations. The previous one had a little bit of like what management should do, but I expanded it a little bit. Determining the time for completing each function.
Can I read this for you?
Yes, please, thank you.
Arrange services to complete some or all of these winterization actions, maintain and update this document with a review at least once per year in November to allow time to implement any changes and perform the weatherization of the facilities for cold weather season. When considered safe to do so, inspect all physical assets of the association for winter storm damage, including all winterized and non-winterized components.
I put in this communication section, I guess I want to make sure that, this document will outlive better city and the manager chair. So what's the expectation for communicating with the board and the community?
Well, that's very good, because then we as a board will know exactly what's happening when it's happening, which is good.
In the first section where you say, arrange services to complete some or all of these winterization actions. Do you have in mind who physically is going to be doing that?
So yes, on the checklist, it says who does what.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like anything to do with the pool, it's expected that the pool company does
And then also, you've talked in the past, there is a chain of command, so it's like Martha's work phone, Martha's cell phone, and then is it Sarah, Byron?
it.
maybe?
Sarah is next.
Sarah, and Sarah is her boss, is Marcia's boss. And so there's a chain of command that goes down to 5 people.
And it was down to, yeah, and then you go to, under normal circumstances, it would be, VP and senior VP. I guess Sarah oversees this, it's just Sarah. But since Darla is more comfortable, I would like to add her, especially because she's pretty close, add her to that culture.
So there's a call tree, so that way somebody's around, because I know many may not know this, but Marcia during the freeze was on vacation in Galveston, drove 3 hours here to check things, and then drove 3 hours back to go back to her vacation. I believe this was Christmas Day.
This is after Christmas.
It was the day after Christmas. And so I just want to highlight, like, this has come because it was a pain point. I don't think we realized we had, so Marcia stepped up. And when we found out that she was doing all of this, we were like, whoa. And so I just want to give like a huge thank you to Marcia for sharing about coming back, and I hope that you never have to do anything like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
I mean, for Christmas at all times.
yeah. Well, and it's, I like I explained to everybody, it's very popular and different, that's kind of this industry, that's where it comes, like it comes. But under normal circumstances, you know, we wouldn't have had Byron out on paternity leave,
Right.
Darla was so brand new. You know, we would have adjusted that call list to put somebody else above, but, no, I just.
But thank you for stepping
Yeah.
up.
I'm seeing this through tasks that need to be completed. I think it's great, but the first thing that immediately jumps out at me is what if it's on the weekend and management isn't on site? Or what if the freeze event has a polar vortex that's hit without warning and you guys aren't on site? You live an hour away from us in good weather. Darla, much closer.
Much closer.
But still. Belterra, Byron doesn't live in Belterra, I can foresee. This is the preparer in me, I can foresee a situation where management isn't on site to complete a lot of these tasks. I think it'd be a good idea if we made some sort of some board of directors can come in here and do some of this for you guys.
Sure. Well, and also
Even if
once-
it's icy and snowy,
Yeah,
I live 6/10 of a mile from this building. Cat's even closer. I'll volunteer you to come in here and shut up.
Is this something we could even look outside of the board of directors to someone, like, we've got plumbers who live in the neighborhood. I would feel a lot more comfortable if one of them was willing to volunteer their time to come out. Who's more
maybe
professional.
one of us meet them out here.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I like that. So then we have like a,
Here, can be God, I'm pretty willing to do a lot of this stuff for the community if we don't have a normal mechanism in place to make it happen. So I'm saying.
So I think that what would be helpful is if, yes, somebody on management could get here either, you know, personal obligations or physical, you know, not being able to ice on the roads, to be able to build in here, maybe we can do something about it. Prior to the no need for memorization that a board member maybe is appointed to ask, hey, are you gonna be in town here as a backup? And then everybody needs communicating as to who that person is. That way, if, I can call that person and say, hey, and sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, I'm an hour away, can you just go to see if it's working? If I need to call a plumber right now, just to be able to physically assess what's going on.
I love that idea of
Yeah.
adding a point person. I
Right,
think we should definitely do that.
yeah, so I'll, with our conversation, massage a little bit, we don't have to approve it.
Okay.
We can do that by, email.
Well, now winter events seem to happen every year now, so we really need guidelines. It's not
February, so we've got 2 weeks to hammer this out.
Yeah, that's right. We're not out of the blue yet. So,
If you guys wouldn't mind, take a, you know, the next week or so, take a look at it and, you know, comment on the Google Doc, you know, your thoughts on it, and then we can get to a final draft.
couple more points just on the pool, the 2023 lifeguard contract, I Am Ready Swim. May I have a motion to accept the contract with I Am Ready Swim for the 2023 lifeguarding services as presented with the addition of the schedule previously approved tonight?
So much.
Thank you, Bob. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kat. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The motion passes unanimously. And now the 2023 Belterra Marlins amenity use agreement. In preparation for the 2023 Belterra Marlins swim team season, the enclosed amenity use agreement has been reviewed by legal counsel. Special care was taken in its preparation to ensure concerns such as lap time availability, lifeguard staffing, activity room access, etc., will be addressed.
And so just to highlight that, for the lap lane, we talked a lot about how we would do that. Would it be requiring them, did we talk about this in open session?
We got out a work session.
Okay, we talked about it earlier in our closed session, so we were trying to go back and forth on whether or not to ask them to leave a full lane open or ask people to move. And it's hard because you could have one morning where nobody comes and he's left an entire lane open, and that would be frustrating for so many kids. And so kind of the solution we came up with is that, a lane will be made available if someone comes, and we discussed a way to do that, and one of the ideas, we want to make it a no contact. So the person isn't having to go up and kick people out of a lane, and I know that doesn't feel good, it's totally within your right. But that may not feel the best, so our solution was something like an A-frame, maybe with a flag on it, and the sign on the A-frame says, if you'd like to use a lane to lap swim, please raise the flag. You raise the flag, go set your stuff down. In that time, Coach John is moving the kids out of the pool, you come back and your lane is open. And so we want to make it to where you don't feel like you're asking, or a resident doesn't feel like a resident is asking for the kids to get out of the way, but also that the kids can utilize the pool to its fullest extent, because every child on Belterra Marlins is a resident, and that is approved, and we make sure that that's approved. So these are all residents using it, and we just want to make sure it's used to its maximum, to the best ability possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea. Okay, do we want to have a motion to accept the 2023 Belterra Marlins amenity use agreement as presented? Do you want to have it up there?
No, I was just gonna say that you do need to do it instead of as presented, it would be subject to the finalization of
Oh, right.
their swim, but if the meat and potatoes of the agreement would be approved.
So I would motion to accept the 2023 Belterra Marlins amenity use agreement with the caveat,
Subject to the final dates.
subject to the final dates of the swim meets.
We get a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Fantastic. So we're getting near the end. It's time for a resident open forum. At this time, we will open the floor to any resident comments. Steve.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
coming.
You want to blast some more?
Well, I will say one thing though regarding lane sharing, there was a sign out there in prior years that says, well, if you're a lane, just ask, you know, for residents that came down during the swim track.
Should you like that, Steve?
I think we just reiterated in the past. The way, the program, the way it used to be, but I like your idea with flag things so that.
That was Clement.
That's
Clement had that brilliant idea.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's just the idea of no contact. It just feels more natural, I think,
Yeah,
for
it's
residents.
smoother.
Mhm.
Marsha, I don't know if we have to be on Zoom that has any questions.
I just become two on the Zoom, and I said, type your questions in the chat if you have any, but do not see any.
Okay, all right. So, thank you. Have there been no further business to consider? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Trish. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Well run.
Yeah. Happy hour.